Hello and welcome back. I hope you had a good little stretch or a coffee or a snack or whatever you need, and that you're ready for some awesome more talks. More awesome talks. That makes more sense. So, our first speaker in this block is the lead designer at the High Impact Innovation Program at the Department of Corrections here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Kelsey G actually gave part one of this talk at UXNZ MiniCon last year. If you missed MiniCon, you can actually still watch that online as well if you want to catch up on any of that content. Kelsey's talk does explore some sensitive topics, which could potentially trigger an emotional response for some people. We and our amazing speakers do our absolute best to present these heavy topics with an empathetic and professional lens. Even so, we want to make sure that we have the procedures in place to support anyone in the community who might at any point need access to support services and resources during or after this talk. If you would like support, please reach out to Sarah Paxton, our conference organizer, and she can direct you to our mental health first responders. Moving forward, a little fun fact about Kelsey. Kelsey is small but mighty. If she were 3 centimeters shorter, she would legally have to ride in a car seat. I really love that fun fact. Thank you so much, Kelsey, and take it away.
Thanks so much, Alex. I actually kind of forgot that was my fun fact. So just a heads up for you guys, this morning in the polls, I actually voted that I would rather 10 duck-sized horses than a horse-sized duck, because that is just freaky. Thanks, everyone. I'm super excited to be here today and really inspired by some of the awesome talks that have already happened. Let's get into this. Cool. Tēnā koutou katoa. Ko roa peihu te maunga e rū nei taku ngākau. Ko Wanganui te awa e mahi nei aku mā harahara. No Wanganui me te Wanganui ātara ahau. Kei High Impact Innovation Program o e mahi ana, me he lead designer o. Ko tēnei taku mihi ki ngā tangata whenua o te rohi nei. Ka mihi hoki o ki ngā tohu o te rohi nei. Ko Kelsey G tōku ingoa. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Morena, Dulcin, and welcome back. Wow, what an honor it is to be here today amongst so many incredible people doing incredible mahi. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou. Thank you all for the wairoa, the presence, and the energy that you bring to the space, including those of you joining us from overseas. I'd just like to extend my thanks and gratitude to the UX New Zealand team for keeping us all safe and once again adapting this day into a virtual conference. My name is Kelsey. As you may have picked up, I live here in Wellington, but grew up in the beautiful river city of Wanganui. I'm the lead designer at the High Impact Innovation Program. We're a multidisciplinary justice sector innovation unit based out of Arapotama, Aotearoa, New Zealand's Department of Corrections. We've been around since 2018 and seek to reduce harm, drive efficiencies, deliver meaningful services, and lead the way for long-term justice system reform. You might remember me from my talk at MiniCon last year, where I spoke about how we as designers have the power to help create a fairer and more just society through using our creative thinking for social innovation and social good. I truly believe that our superpower lies in the ability to redesign society, especially for our whanau and our most vulnerable communities. Today, I'm here to continue that conversation and once again explore design's role in creating equal opportunities across safe, seamless, and healing public services. Today, I'm going to walk you through a project that's held a lot of my heart for the past 4 years. It's a project that is ambitiously using design to help reduce and prevent not only cycles of crime, but levels of child poverty and systemic institutionalized racism too. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Mate, you're dreaming. And you're right, she has indeed been a pretty big job. But much like my talk in November, once again, you'll see that our solutions are by no means technically or aesthetically groundbreaking. What's been groundbreaking for us are the learnings that have helped us to walk in these complex problems. We've learned what it means and feels like to create mana-enhancing processes and experiences for all involved. And we're also seeing how more meaningful impacts can be achieved when you hold a holistic and ecosystemic view of all end users at the forefront of your design. In doing these things, we've honed in on a usually disregarded group of people who experience New Zealand's justice system. And as a result, we're contributing to changing life trajectories across generations. Today, I'm going to show you how the High Impact Innovation Program has been harnessing the humble superpower of design to deliver safer, more seamless, and healing public services for children of prisoners across Aotearoa. We're giving our most vulnerable group of children the building blocks of support towards a fairer start at life. Before I properly kick off, I just want to ensure that I'm creating a safe space throughout this talk, as I'm going to be discussing some sensitive topics and experiences. Safety in this space is paramount for me, and I recognise that some things may be hard to hear or quite upsetting. So please, if at any time you feel unsafe, feel free to step out and take a break. The kind and helpful UXNZ staff are also on hand for anyone that feels they need support. If you feel unsafe in any way after my talk, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Sarah Paxton, the awesome UXNZ manager. Myself, along with the High Impact Innovation Program and UX New Zealand, are more than happy to help find the right support for you. So a spotlight has always been on New Zealand's criminal justice sector, but over the past 4 years, this has really been intensified. In March of 2018, the Department of Corrections hit peak capacity with a whopping 11,000 people in our prisons. This not only earned us second place in the developed world for the highest rate of incarceration, but it also triggered a nationwide criminal justice summit, which heard prominent call-outs from our communities for reform and change. This crisis highlighted not just how much our system was causing more harm than healing. It is failing us, not only our offenders, victims, and staff, but it is failing our whanau, our communities, and sadly, our tamariki, our children, too. Currently, there are approximately 23,000 children across Aotearoa experiencing separation from a parent who is in prison. These tamariki are often referred to as invisible children, named so because they are our invisible victims of crime in a situation of their own, faced with a sentence they didn't choose. Not only are these children plagued by the prolonged loss of a connection with a loved one, but many of them won't understand why mum or dad have gone away. They may have also been traumatized, witnessing their loved one be arrested, or carry unnecessary feelings of guilt, thinking that everything was their fault. On top of that, the weight of the silent stigma that society places on families of people who are incarcerated can feel condemning on its own. These children are naturally a powder keg of emotions. Without the right support and connection, they are 9.5 times more likely than other Kiwi kids to end up as our future prisoners. And in fact, we are already seeing multiple generations of families in our prisons today. Unfortunately, this problem gets a lot more complex. The effects of colonisation are rife across our criminal justice system. In 2018, when the Department of Corrections hit peak capacity, it was recorded that just over 50% of these people were Māori. That's an absolutely devastating statistic, considering that Māori made up only 14.9% of our total country's population at that time. Continued overrepresentation of Māori in our prisons means that we have continued overrepresentation of Māori in our invisible children. Dishearteningly, as many of us know, Māori children across our country are already severely disadvantaged for many reasons. Our criminal justice system is only exacerbating this. So, how do we try to solve a problem that seems to have all of the odds against us? How might we bring positive visibility, senses of safety, self, and purpose to unheralded, disempowering experiences and spaces that were never designed with consideration for children? How do we ensure that these children feel loved in times and spaces where all love can feel lost? And most importantly, how do we make sure that our solution absolutely works for Māori? Today, I'd like to introduce you to the Kia Project, a tamariki-centred system that aims to empower the 23,000 often forgotten children of prisoners who are impacted by the experiences of a parent's incarceration. This project was originally my 2018 University Honours project through the College of Creative Arts at Massey University. I was lucky enough that it was picked up by the High Impact Innovation Programme, and we've been working to adapt and implement it across the country since. It is one of the first tamariki-centred services that the Department of Corrections has implemented for children of prisoners. Kia is a multi-touch point design strategy focused on creating positive interventions during the experience of visiting a parent in prison. Primarily, it seeks to reduce the anxiety that tamariki may feel when visiting a prison, as well as feelings of isolation and grief at home or in their day-to-day life. It does this by creating empowering and meaningful spaces to visit, equipping children with the knowledge of what to expect, and providing tools that enable whanau to nurture and strengthen their bonds together. The Kia Project also recognises the imbalance of Māori in our prison population, and it responds by offering solutions that are designed in partnership with Māori and mana whenua. It places the cultural values and worldview of our Indigenous peoples first. Now, before I get into this, I just want to clarify that I'm by all means not an expert in this space. I'm second generation New Zealand Chinese, and while I've learned a lot from working in this space, I'm constantly on my learning journey. And this is exactly why the concept of the Kia Project was designed to be adapted, and the final implemented solutions designed in partnership with Māori and mana whenua. Together, we build a relationship and work to the principles of kaitiakitanga, manaakitanga, and tāwharo. These principles encompass the Kia Project, and our solutions are driven by the question, how might these principles enhance a person's mana when they're experiencing trauma? The concept of mana, in a very brief definition, means respect, authority, and prestige. Mana is power in action, and power can refer to spiritual power, legal power, social power, as well as manaaki or manaaki, showing respect, generosity, and care. A person's mana can be transferred, shared, diminished, enhanced, and restored. According to Te Hurawai and M. Baker from Te Rau Ora, mana enhancing practice is a way of engaging with others that cares for the spiritual, emotional, physical, and intellectual dimensions of a person. For the Kia Project, mana enhancing practice is manifested through our three principles: creating the feelings of safety, whanau, and aroha, a sense of trust, a sense of self, and a sense of purpose. The three keys to facilitating empowerment within a person. There are three phases to the design and implementation of the Kia Project, each aiming to enable mana enhancement and meaningful connection at repeated events across an invisible child's experience. We begin by redesigning the spaces that tamariki and whanau interact with during a visit. Our team of designers work collaboratively with the people in our care, who I'll refer to as tāne or men, staff and mana whenua, to collaboratively design a visual story and kaitiaki, a guardian character. These become the journey that children will follow through the prison spaces to the visiting room. This visual story is based on purako, stories or myths, or whakatoki, proverbs and formulaic sayings, that feature our chosen kaitiaki character, making each site's experience different and specific to its local area. Our collaborative design team will spend time lovingly hand-painting these stories into the physical spaces, from the car park to the gatehouse and security, hallways, and finally the visiting hall. This phase also includes replacing harsh prison-style furniture with more comfortable and comforting soft furnishings such as couches, ottomans, and beanbags. The goal here is to create a space that will manaki, respect and care for those that are in it. It's the notion that visiting mum or dad in prison shouldn't feel like home, but it should feel welcoming and it should feel safe. My original concept paid homage to kia birds as kaitiaki over people travelling through harsh environments. Most of the kaitiaki across the country are also manu birds. This captures the notion of tawhiro, to provide shelter. It is through our kaitiaki that this project wraps its wings around our tamariki to provide physical and psychological protection and safety. The goal is for our kaitiaki character to become a fictional friend to tamariki, a guardian or a protector, and someone they can always count on to be there during challenging times. Our kaitiaki tie the whole project together from end to end by becoming prevalent across our other touchpoints in both prison and home environments. After the spatial adaptations are complete, we create and distribute kete for tamariki to engage with at home. These kete contain a storybook about our kaitiaki and the journey of visiting mum or dad, an activity book to learn about whanau and whakapapa, stickers to familiarise children with the visual story they will follow, letters and pepeha cards for whanaungatanga, relationship building, and a soft toy version of the kaitiaki for comfort. We've also made our storybook available online as an animated video. This is to be able to reach tamariki beyond the project. I'll share a link to this after my talk. The purpose of these kete is twofold. The first is to lift and enhance the mana of our tamariki. We reduce their anxiety by preparing them for what they can expect to experience when they come to visit. And we reassure them that not only is their loved one safe, but that they, our tamariki, are still loved and cared for too. The second is to lift and enhance the mana of parents and caregivers. This situation is by all means not easy for parents. So let's take a load off and support them in supporting our tamariki. Let's help our parents to communicate these experiences with their tamariki and find ways to open conversation about what's happened in a safe and empowering space. Our final step is implementing games, books, toys, and activities for whanau to do together during a visit. Things that enhance a feeling of family time and allows families to further explore meaningful engagement and connection in their own ways. Here we select a range of things to service multiple age groups and create some of our own resources based on the visual story and kaitiaki character. This phase enables families to simply enjoy being a family together, to nurture and strengthen their bonds free of any significant emotional barriers. Many of the dads in our care often become unsure of how to interact with their children when they come in for visits. Providing age-appropriate materials to help bridge this gap allows parents to learn key parenting skills in a safe and positive space. This final step is so simple, but facilitates the mana enhancement of whanau collectively. Tamariki are once again reminded that they are still loved and have the support of their whanau. Parents are supported in maintaining whanau connections and supporting their tamariki. And the people in our care are empowered by a meaningful visit. So you can see the benefit of each of these individual phases. But let's take a look at how this begins to work as an ecosystem. When we start to analyse how these three phases interact together, we can see how this project rolls into a strategic system. The effects of each of the interventions across the system snowball into one another, maximising the impacts and meaningful change. In redesigning the spaces children see, we're able to redesign the framework of the visiting experience itself. We curate the journey that we want tamariki to have, redirecting their focus away from harsh elements like wire fences and concrete walls, protecting them from the harm and trauma that our previous spaces have caused. and providing tamariki with the knowledge of what they can expect to see and creating assurance in that actual experience when they see it, then supporting our parents to help empower their children in their home environments, we can begin to diffuse feelings of isolation, anxiety, and grief. Tamariki begin to feel empowered to visit and emotionally strong in their day-to-day lives. We therefore begin to facilitate a mindset in tamariki that is aspirational and focused on whanau and aroha, a mindset that simply allows kids to be kids before, during, and after visiting. Defusing these emotional barriers opens up the opportunity for families to spend more meaningful time together during a visit, something that is so valuable when that time is already so limited. We hear a lot about how children are major motivators for parents to change, but often parents don't want their children exposed to such a place. In creating safer environments for tamariki and equipping whanau with the right tools, families are able to stay connected. Having meaningful visits becomes a highly contributing factor to not only preventing our tamariki from turning to gangs and crime to find a sense of belonging, but for parents in prison, they also contribute to supporting a shift away from reoffending and provide them with stronger support systems to reintegrate safely back into our communities. Finally, let's come back to our statistic of 50% of our prison population being Māori. If we want to create a fairer and more just Aotearoa, we have to start here. We have to start by evening out the playing field and giving those that are most disadvantaged a fair shot towards better lives. In working collaboratively with Māori parents in prison, mana whenua, and staff, we've been able to ensure that we look at each person's experience holistically and wrap our solutions in feelings of aroha, safety, and whanau. We've found opportunities to further adapt the project based on site needs or the needs of local families. And as such, we continue to lift the mana of all involved by offering an experience that maxes out on empowering, supporting, and manakiing our tamariki. Meaningful visiting experiences that have been designed with Māori and for Māori helps to set our tamariki, our tāne, and our whanau on better trajectories in life. Through our visual stories and activities, families have an opportunity to learn about their whakapapa together, and strength is found collectively through learning about the ao Māori. The journey presented here offers an opportunity for both parent and child to find a sense of belonging in their tūranga waiwai, their place to stand in the world. And through meaningful visits, we can continue to empower them to take this place. Connection to whanau, whenua, land, and whakapapa history is defining for Māori. Returning to, strengthening, and empowering these connections becomes one of many steps in breaking cycles of generational youth offending, reoffending, and poverty. It is through these small building blocks of support that we will begin to see less Māori in our prisons, our state care, and as victims of crime. We will begin to see more people succeeding and contributing to their communities. And we will begin to close the gap between all children of prisoners and other Kiwi kids, giving them opportunities for fair starts in their lives. Kia has been piloting in 3 men's sites, and we're currently in the design phase at 2 women's sites. We've worked alongside some talented people who have managed to find healing and personal growth through our design processes together, and staff have commented on positive behavioural changes of the men back in their units. Last year, I was also informed that a man's time on the CARE project has shifted his perspective and behaviours so significantly that the parole board recognised our project's effects despite not being a formal rehabilitation program. We've also seen staff perspectives shift from power-driven, scare-them-straight attitudes to ones that understand and recognise the benefits of whanau connection and how our spaces must reduce harm for children. Walking in complexity is a challenge, but we don't have to walk alone. You've seen that the processes and methodologies we've used are nothing new to you, and our solutions are by no means aesthetically or technically groundbreaking. Through design, time and time again, we've proven that we can better respond to business issues by listening to our end users. Today, you've seen how we can maximize our impact by taking a holistic and ecosystemic approach. You've also seen how through partnership and collaboration, design has the power to facilitate change across generations, and it bridges the gap in aiding and healing the effects of colonization. We truly do have the power to reduce harm and redesign society. So today, there's two questions I want you to think about going forward in your mahi. If you're working with Māori or any minority group of people, how might you enhance the mana of those you're designing with and for? And how might you design opportunities to give our next generations a fairer start in life? I just want to finish off by sharing an email that was sent in to me by one of the visit staff at a Care Project site. Kia ora, Kelsey. I just wanted to let you know that we handed some of the Care Project packs out to tamariki that attended visits on the weekend. I've made a register that will sit in the control room to be marked off as we hand them out to each child. The way we decided to distribute the packs was to hand them to tāne before they entered the visits room. We had a quick kōrero with them about what the packs contained and a brief background about Care Project. What we found was that the interaction between tāne and their tamariki was one that was very positive. The tāne themselves were very grateful to hand the pack over to their tamariki, as under normal circumstances they usually can't give them anything. Every one of them said thank you to us before and after their visits. It was quite a cool feeling for us as staff. The tamariki looked around the room to find the kaitiaki and his mates, and our tāne helped to find them as well. They all started to look through the activity books and made up their own games using the stickers and other things in the pack. There was a little girl who didn't want to speak to her father at all, but as the visit went on, she was smiling, cuddling, and talking to her dad. In the end, she wanted to keep playing and reading books with him. Our tāne was very grateful and went back to his unit in a happier space than he was at the start of his visit. The mother of this little girl rang me today after her visit. She wanted to say thank you for the pack we'd given her daughter. It was a good icebreaker for her and her father, as she didn't want to speak or even look at him as she was scared by what she was experiencing. The mother said that they had read through the book and was so grateful that the story explained what to expect before, during, and after the visit. She said her daughter is feeling much more at ease with the thought of coming to visit her father and is looking forward to completing the activity book with him. They are going to read the book most nights so she can be reminded that she is loved and feel better about coming back to visit. Ngā mihi nui. Thank you all so much for having me today. I'm looking forward to the rest of the conference. If you have any questions at all, please pop them in the chat and I will have a read and answer them later. And to all of you crying, thank you. I'm also kind of crying right now, so yeah.